What is going on, guys? This is Jagnol back again with another video. I said I was going to be making only one video this week. I lied. I'm making another one. And I didn't expect to make this video because, the only video I was going to be making was going to be about the Dynasty Deep Dive, which is apparently going to be really long. The video is scheduled to be like 6 minutes long, and then like the write-up is going to be even longer. So that will be fun as I go through that. I'm really going to try to go through the entire breakdown tomorrow. But before they even did that, they decided to drop a screenshot showing like how recruiting is going to work on their socials. Now, they've been doing this for all their deep dives. They'll just release a little screenshot kind of previewing what's coming down the pipeline, usually like over the next day when the trailer comes out. But they just dropped the entire like recruiting like dashboard. So we're just going to dive into it because I think there's a lot of information that we can pull from it. And I don't know if I'll be able to fully dive into that when the deep dive comes out. And maybe some of these things will get confirmed, or I might be wrong on a few of these things, but I think it'll be fun to just give some predictions and see how they are, because once this deep dive drops in like 14 hours or something, we'll be able to see how everything works. So we'll start off from the left to right and then going from top to bottom. First things first, just quickly looking at the UI. It looks really clean. It really fits that college aesthetic. They seem to really be going with that paper, gritty kind of feel, and then like the fonts are kind of like the chalk, like a chalkboard, which again I think is cool. From a UI perspective, it looks clean. It looks different from NCAA 14 as well as Madden. It looks different. Again, I think people who think this is a Madden clone or Madden reskin, I think you've lost your mind. Like you don't. This is not the case at all. I mean, I get it after the first trailer, but come on now, it's not the same. But let's just go into we'll just jump into it. So first, we're looking at UCF, and you get to see at the top left, you see the recruiting board, prospect list, transfer portal, my school, and top classes, which I just think from a UI perspective, it's really cool that you can just, hit right bumper, left bumper, and just go through your schools like that, or just go through the menus, because I know in like NCAA 14 you had to like back out of a menu and go to top classes and stuff. So it's cool that you can just hit the left bumper and then boom, top classes, or you hit it twice and then boom, you're at my school. And I assume like top classes will just show the top 25 classes. My school, I think it will be similar to how it is on like the right, where it says academic prestige, athletic facilities. And if you played NCAA 14, this is, I would say, like a carbon copy. I haven't like put them side by side, but I really think these are the exact same ones, which I think is great. I think it's a nice little note and homage to that game, because a lot of people love that game and that recruiting. But I think some people were disappointed with that recruiting because it was just very point based. You just assigned points to a recruit and then you just let it go, and it was really like a set it and forget it. Now, I think I heard the devs saying that this is also going to be kind of a set it and forget it, but there is a lot more options I've seen. So going back to the left-hand side where you see the list of recruits. So you have Jay Office, which is hilarious. You got to have a name. His name is Office. Paris, Tuttle, Lanier, Dennis, Maddox, and Pettigrew. So you have all these guys. Now, if you look at the first four, Office, Paris, Tuttle, and Lanier, they're all technically verbally committed. Now, it doesn't just say committed. It says verbally committed. So I think what this means is that there is a chance that they could decommit or flip on signing day, or something could happen. And I already think this is already an upgrade from what NCAA 14 is, because in NCAA 14, once a guy committed, you were done. They were going to be on your team unless they like join the team and you immediately cut them. They're coming to your school. They don't ever decommit. It literally says like at the bottom, like the little ticker will say signed a recruit. Like you immediately sign someone. And that's not how it works in the modern recruiting. Like if someone commits to you, like they do their whole celebration, they put the hats on, they throw the other ones away. That doesn't mean jack. Like, I mean, I've followed recruiting. I mean, I'm an FSU fan. I saw Travis Hunter do the craziest thing and commit to a FCS school, which looking back I was like, no way, this is real life. But just seeing that was insane. But I'm glad that they put this in. Now, I hope that this means that you can decommit, or obviously if you're, you don't want your recruits to decommit, but that I think it also shows that maybe you have to continue to put effort into them. I'm not sure, because if you look at there doesn't show like there's any points anymore, so it looks like you don't have to put any times. or any time points away, or hours. It seems like that's the currency that they're using for this game, for the recruiting. So I'm interested to see. Now, I wonder if that's just a label. It's the same thing as just committed. They're going to sign, or do they have the chance to decommit? I want to know what your thoughts. I want to see what they end up doing. I have a feeling it will let you decommit. That would be a cool feature. And then you see Dennis, Maddox, and then Pettigrew. Now these are people that have like the hours assigned, and there's 3 icons. So I'm assuming the first one, it's like the, that's the hourglass, not the hourglass. It's like the spy glasses or whatever they're called. I'm losing my mind for forgetting what this icon is. But basically, I'm assuming that's a scouting, and I'm assuming that means you have scouted the person 100%, because if you're looking at Pettigrew, who is the highlighted recruit, he has that icon, and his scouting is 100%. So I think that's the case. Next up, you have this little document with a handshake, so I wonder if this means that scholarship is offered, and that seems to be the case, because if you look at Alex Pettigrew's like sheet, it says like the scholarship offered is checked and it's grayed out, so I assume that's the case. And then lastly, there is like the visit scheduled, but it's grayed out, so I'm assuming that means you haven't scheduled a visit yet. So this just shows like how, I guess, the 3 big things, like you got to scout them, offer them a scholarship, and then have them visit. So that's kind of similar to what we had in NCAA 14 in previous games. You scout them, you offer them a scholarship, and you get them to visit. And other than that, I think that's kind of where the similarities end, because really the entire bulk of the screen is focused on all these other actions and pitches and strategy, which I will dive into in a second. But then obviously if you look at the top where it says the guy's name, it shows their star levels, so it goes through 1 through 5 star, which is the how it is in the industry. And then you have their national ranking. I'm assuming that's their state ranking, so he's 42, and position, so he's, of all left end, he's the 25th best left end in the country. And then he's the 42 best recruit in Georgia, and he's nationally the 547th best player. And then you get to see his position, so left end, tendency, so he's a power rusher. I'm assuming there's like a finesse or a speed rusher or something like that. His class, now it says high school, so I'm wondering, because it says class, there's like transfer portal, JUCO, so it looks like because they mentioned class, there has to be different options there. They wouldn't just put high school as a class and have it not be just be the only option, right? Hometown, and then they have the height and weight. And then also you see this bar that shows like the top, like the top 8, the top 5, and then the top 3. Also, you get to see this little icon towards the left that has like the little handshake, but it's like crossed out. So I wonder what this means. Like, I don't really know what, is it like they won't commit until they're at like top 3 schools? I'm not exactly sure what that does, but like that is an interesting, like, it's crossed out. So I don't know how those icons work, but yeah, that's an interesting one. And then you have the player itself, which again, the player models, I know people have been clowning on some of the they're not even face cams, but like what the players look like, and guys, they can't make every player look great. I mean, come on now. But one thing is, I'm glad they look like college students. I know in NCAA 14, I think they just ported over the Madden faces, and they were like 30-year-olds. Like, how does, like, I mean, there are some 18-year-olds that look like they're 30. Don't get me wrong. Like, look at who was that tight end for Georgia? He looks like he's in his 30s. But hey, he's a millionaire in the NFL. I can say whatever I want. Oh, Brock Bowers. That's what I'm talking about. This guy, he looks like a college player. Looks like a college football player. Doesn't look like he's 10-year vet in the NFL. Then you have the actions. So first off, you have an add action button. So I'm wondering if all of these down below, there's more you can add. And the currency is the hours. So if you going back to the top right, you have like your targets. So you can do 12, or you can do 35 targets. You can do 35 scholarships. For targets, that's about normal from NCAA 14. In scholarships, I think you could only do 25. I think that was the case. I don't think it was 35. So it is really interesting. And then hours, so you can allocate 600 hours per week, it looks like. And I feel like that's going to be different based off of like your recruiting level or your school. So I do think all these numbers will change. So I think like the 35 out of 50, I think that will all change based on like the coach or something. So looking at the active actions, you get to see things like DM a player, which is hilarious. So if you want to slide into a player's DMs at 3 a.m., will you hit? I'm not sure, but it's only going to cost you 10 hours. It's kind of funny how it's 10 hours of DMing a player. And then you have the friends and family, that's 25. So I guess you got to, like, you know, get the mom to like you or something. Get the mom to put on the jersey. Then you have, like, the soft sell. So I think that's, like, you know, texting them back and forth. I have a feeling there's different actions because they wouldn't just add the add actions button if there was only, like, if those were all it. And then you have scholarship offered and then visit scheduled. So you only have 50 hours to give. So, like, if you were going to schedule a visit, that kind of takes up the rest of your, you know, hours, and you only can just DM him again. So I guess you could schedule a visit and re-slide back in the DMs like, hey, you coming? You pulling up? We got the plane on the way. Next up, really the one that I don't really know what's going to be it is the pitch. So I guess you also have the overview, recruiting, and scouting, but I think that just showcases the player, so I won't go too much into that. So then you have pitch and strategy, and you have all these different icons. I can try to guess what these icons are. I'm probably going to be really wrong. There are a few that I think I can try. So I think the one that has the SEC logo, I have a feeling that has... So it can mean two things. It's a dynamic button, and it means they want to play for a specific conference. So this person wants to play for an SEC school, something like that. Or what it's going to be, I think it's kind of like pitching it like we are in a prestigious conference, stuff like that. Like, come to us, we are the best conference. And I think they're just using the SEC as the example, which I think is really tongue-in-cheek, but the SEC does recruit the best out of all the conferences, like, easily by far. So they use the SEC as that icon. I get it, but I think it's just kind of hilarious. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, they're just doing all the SEC love because they put the SEC chant in the game. The reason is, that's real life. That is real life. So even though they put that in the game, it is realistic. So I will give that. And then you have the one that's highlighted where it says student of the game. Now, the cool thing is that since this is highlighted, you get to see, like, different things on the right. So if you go to that little list on the right where it shows all the, I'm assuming that's, like, your school, you have your academic prestige and, like, all those different factors or, like, different, you know, things that can cause someone to want to go there, and shows how good your school is. I have a feeling that each button will highlight different, like, things. So I'm assuming the SEC one is probably conference prestige, maybe it's program tradition, or like championship contender, something like that. I feel like each button will have like a main little thing, and it'll have like the extra. So student of the game, it has coach prestige, proximity home, academic prestige. Or I could be wrong. Maybe like this is different. I don't know exactly what, like, the interest, like there's the X, so I'm wondering it's like this person doesn't like your academic prestige, or this person, like, doesn't care about academic prestige. You know, I don't really know exactly what these mean. And then you do have a grade. So it looks like UCF is doing pretty well in terms of, like, their academic prestige and coach prestige and conference prestige. And then you see things like pro potential, playing style, their C's, which I will say, because UCF's in the Big 12 now, like, that's fair, because, like, if you play as, like, a really tiny school, those grades are probably going to be a lot lower. So I do think these are fair. Like, if you're playing as, like, Alabama, I'm assuming all these are going to be A, except for, like, academic prestige, which is going to be, like, an F. Just kidding. I know Bama is, like, a good academic school. I just want to just make a joke. So, yeah, going back to the icons, I think the one directly to the right of student of the game, it shows, like, a guy with a cape and, like, a home. I'm assuming that's, like, hometown hero. So overall, like, I don't know exactly what all these buttons are. I'm sure we'll find out more what the buttons are and really what the pitch and strategy really goes into. But overall, I think that's really it. I think we really dived into this screenshot, and it gave us so much information. I'm just excited to see what this deep dive is. This is a single frame, a single screenshot. Just imagine what this 6-minute video is going to be like tomorrow. I'm really excited. I feel like there's a lot of work cut out for me to go through and read all of this, but I'm gonna do it because I love reading this kind of stuff and I love breaking it down for you guys. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night if you're watching it at night. If you're watching it later, I hope you're having a great day. But other than that, this has been Jagnal, and I will see you guys next time, probably tomorrow.